And I feel like
Hmm.
Americans kind of just need to suck it up and listen. Because once you listen, you can understand. I
Right.
mean, one quick
Apologies to
fact.
American audience. Yeah, I feel like the issue though is the vocabulary of the Americans is very poor. I'm sorry, guys. Poor in the sense. I mean, poor in a nice way, in the sense that I don't know how poor can be a nice way. Can poor be a nice way?
They have the British, they have the
Well,
British English and
I'm
so
gonna
I
have to
mean,
cut this out.
so they have
well,
American English also.
how about this? I mean, I'm not gonna say it's technically poor because I've met a lot of people, a lot of like Americans that will pronounce anything. It's all about you trying, put in an effort to make it right.
Right.
If you
Mm,
try to make something perfect, you will be perfect at this. I mean,
or
at
you
it.
get close.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we were just told no matter what, we have to do it. There is no ifs and buts about it. It has to be done.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Lost Lagosians, a podcast covering topics about Lagosians, Nigerians, and Africans in diaspora, as well as trending topics and challenges for Africans living outside Africa. I'm your host, Brother Mike. I've got with me my regular partner in crime, Shope. Hi, Shope. How are you doing today?
Hey, brother Mike, I'm doing good, and today's gonna be a lovely one because I have a special guest here with us from the bottom of my heart, my family.
Woohoo!
So yeah, we're excited to have her here, and let's get the bus
Yeah,
rolling.
did we say she's also the first female guest that we're ever having on this show?
Yes, she is, and it's good. We are so happy for her being the number one female guest.
Also, I was also wondering, like, maybe we should have a special red carpet music or ta-na-na-na-na. Come on, Shope, you got to have something lined up for that in your control
Let me
station
give
there.
him with the daddy shoki.
Oh, wait.
Welcome, welcome,
Daddy-
Sister Tara. Welcome, Sister Tara. Welcome. Let's go.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Thank you for being here. Can you please do a quick introduction for our guests?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me. So my name is Tara. I'm actually related to Chape over there. And besides,
Woohoo!
I mean, I've known him for like since I was born, so I can't.
Woohoo!
And
That's
and
right.
and brother Mike, I've known you two for like what 20 years.
20 years, man.
20 years.
Easily.
Yeah,
20
that's a
years,
long
yeah.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very long time. So you're out there. What part of the country are you located?
So I am in Illinois right now.
Okay.
I'm like East Central Illinois is where I'm at.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's cold here. It's like about 26 degrees. There's snow outside, and it's just cold. It's nothing compared to Nigeria weather.
We all know that.
So
I,
26,
mhm.
I mean 26 degrees. That's about, I mean, how cold is that?
Well, I mean, it
It's
is.
still okay.
I,
It's
I,
not bad
I
as
think below
negative.
freezing is 32, so we are kind of below freezing.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
just did the math. It's like minus 3.3 degrees.
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Ooh. So if you
I
put
mean,
water outside, it will freeze.
Of
yeah,
course.
you definitely freeze outside, but I'm in here with the heater on, so I am toasty. I'm good.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. So just a quick kind of intro, like what your experience has been with coming to the States. You left Nigeria because at this we try to give folks hope,
Uh-huh.
especially like diasporans from Africa. So we're wondering, like, what's your experience been like coming to the US, and how did that all work out?
Well, I'm gonna say I mean, it's been a journey. When we came, we were teenagers, so we literally had to depend on people. But to a certain point, you have to stand up, and then you have to take care of yourself. Like the saying goes, "Heaven helps those who help themselves." Just because you're here with somebody doesn't mean you can't find your way at a certain point. So when we came, we started off in New York City, which was, in my opinion, as at that time, it was equivalent to being in Lagos, as we grew up in Lagos. There's a lot of people. It was great. Like, you come outside and you're walking like shoulder to shoulder with people. So it wasn't hard for that first couple of months. I mean, there was no. I didn't miss Nigeria that much. But when we moved to Illinois was when it got rough. It was hard because there's like nobody. um, you wake up in the morning, you see people between 7 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock going to work, and then you see them between 4:30 to like 5:30 coming home. I mean, it was really really hard, but that's more like, I mean, that's for you, like if you're a people person, that part of it. But the other part of, like, as in acclimating yourself to the system, trying to figure out where you belong, and trying to get yourself to the point where you're self-sufficient. It's not as easy as people say it is. I mean, you have to, I mean, in order to be successful in this country, you have to be educated. It's one of the things that I noticed. I don't know if you guys picked that up. I mean, to a certain degree, at least have a high school diploma in order to be able to have a decent job and be able to survive in America, or else you starve. So I don't know what you guys' experience were, but that's kind of like what I noticed and picked up. So
Yeah. So just talking about your, you mentioned a couple of things that I want to touch on. One of them being Lagos, how New York is
yes.
similar to Lagos. I completely agree with you in that regard because in Lagos you have a lot of people, and also in New York you have a lot of people. And
Mm-hmm.
if you move down to Illinois, which there's more space between you and your neighbor, so I guess your cultural shock sounds like it came when you moved to Illinois, not necessarily in New York. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think if I
Okay.
had stayed in New York City, I mean, I would never have gotten the shock just because we're so used to people around us. We don't necessarily have to talk to you. It's just the fact
Mhm.
that there are people around that you don't feel alone. I guess that's the big
Mhm.
word, alone.
Mhm.
Like there's nobody to talk to. You don't see people, and it just kind of makes you a little bit depressed. As in, holy cow, what am I doing
Mhm.
here? You know,
Mhm.
you go from a city with a lot of people to a city that grows corn, and that's why you see cornfields literally. And so
You
you,
gotta give Illinois more
Yeah,
credit than
Illinois
that
do
though.
have a good
I mean, I
credit, but if
do.
you
I
live
mean,
up to like in the Chicago area, then you in the city, like in the Chicago area.
yeah,
But when you
Chicago
comes
is a
to
rat race of its own.
yeah, when you
That's like a
come down
whole
to
different
the
state in my point of view.
right
Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'm not
in
saying
the
I'm
suburb
complaining. I'm
area,
just
yeah,
saying it was just a little different with the shifts. I mean, like the transition. It's kind of a little harder to transition with that.
Mhm. Then with time, you'd mentioned something about between 7 and 8 in the morning you see people, then 4 again you see people. Is that
Yeah,
because like everybody goes to work, but in New York never sleeps.
yeah. New York is the city that never sleeps. The city it has the amount of people in the daytime and it does at nighttime. So
Mhm.
everybody is working. Everybody is busy. There's night shifters and stuff. Like I guess one of the big thing to the part of where I lived in Illinois was very quiet. Like you don't really see people that much. I wasn't in the city proper, so I was in the suburbs. So people just get up and do the things they need to, and then they come home. So there's no need for them to be run around. There are no like convenience stores where I lived, so it kind of made it a little bit harder to see people. So that's kind of what it was.
How would you rate your experience? You mentioned something earlier. Again, I'm just like you say something, but whatever you say has like 10 different points in it. Because you're actually very intellectual and you just talk very fast. So I'm trying to like break it down. One of the things you
um,
actually said was, something about you have to be independent. You mentioned something about like being independent and being able
yeah.
to, yeah. What's that experience like for somebody who's just again coming here as a teenager? You came with family and your parents necessarily were not with you when you came to New York. Like, how did that shift happen for people coming from Nigeria?
Well, my thing, I guess, in my place was I was already an independent child growing up in Nigeria. Um, I I was just that way, so I was able to do things and venture out. I like to explore. I'm kind of curious. My dad used to call me a curious cat. So
Mm-hmm.
I would be one of those people that would, if I see something and I don't understand, I would ask people. I said, "Okay, so what does this mean?" Like in the real world, and then they will tell me, and I'll ask, "What does this mean to me as an African?" And
Mm-hmm.
then with that, I will kind of play with it, take that and make it mine so I can blend in perfectly with everybody. I mean, one of the big things here in America is, I mean, yes, you can isolate yourself if you want, but if you really want to be able to learn like the language and learn how people survive over here, you have to blend into a certain point, to the point where you're able to pick up all the good stuff and leave the bad stuff behind. Because if you don't blend in, you're never going to know what's going on. You're never going to understand the
Mm-hmm.
social norms. You're never going to
Mm-hmm.
understand, okay, what do I need to do so I can get a job? So there's so many things. It's not as easy as Nigeria where you can walk to someone's store or walk to the market and say, hey, I need a job. And then they'll give you a job and then they'll pay you cash. it's not the same thing. The system here is a little bit different. So, acclimating yourself to the system, being able to work the system where, as a new Nigerian coming into this country, you are able to survive and do stuff legally, so you don't get yourself in trouble.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of language, there was an experience that I had, and I'm sure you all probably have a similar experience.
Mm-hmm.
I came here, and when I was talking to, I don't remember who it was. Might have it's I mean someone I think from school or from college, and I was like, I've been calling you. I was supposed to call them to do something the next day. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been calling you, but your line is engaged.
Yeah.
And she's like, engaged? What do you mean engaged? I was like, oh, the line is engaged. In Nigeria, we just say engage, engage. You were talking about language and those
Mm-hmm.
little nuances. So later on, I was now like, oh my God, I think I'm supposed to say the line is busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, the line is busy. Oh, you mean busy? So something like that, where in Nigeria, engage, line is engaged, the proper thing. But
Yeah.
here, you can't say engage, you have to say
And
busy,
and
So those little things, yeah.
also sometimes you gotta
Exactly.
also learn how to use a voice tone on the phone. It's a phone tone. I think you gotta call it, because when I first got
Mm-hmm.
here, I got some situation people think I've been aggressive just talking, but I was just saying. So you gotta learn how to
Well,
adjust your tone, because we Nigerians, we have that strong vocal cord that when we speak loud like a king, and we roar when we talk.
yeah. I
So
mean, I would say it's like a firm tone
right,
because we are confident in ourselves, and
exactly.
we know what we want, and we just go straight for it. And not everybody understands that. So, if
Mm.
it, so when you're firm, they see it as being aggressive.
Right. But we have to learn how to adjust to that too, and how to
I
learn
Yeah,
how
mean,
to.
and
don't be
oh,
talking too fast. Don't be talking too fast. Like when I got here, I always talked. Wow, how come you speak so fast? Why you
Right.
talk so fast? And I'm not speaking fast. I'm just talking. They're like, oh no, you talk so fast. So that's
yeah.
another thing where somebody has to adjust to the language.
Yeah, I mean, and I know to a certain point I do. So if I'm going too fast, you guys are just gonna slow me down. My brain still moves faster than anything else. So, yeah. And one other thing that I noticed is, so we speak Queen's English. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
growing up in Nigeria, grammar is very important. We focus a
Mm-hmm.
lot on knowing how to speak proper English, knowing how to use grammar properly, know how to use big words as well.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
I noticed in America, it was never that way. It was very simplified. So, I mean, I had a lot of American friends that I used to make fun of. I would tell them that their English was garbage. Then when they go back to like speaking Queen's English, it would be like a whole big argument for
Right.
like 30 minutes, and then we'll be laughing about it. So, yeah, I was told that their English wasn't proper,
I
that,
used to
that
tell
they
them
need to
same
go
thing.
back
I
to
used to have the
school and
same
they needed to
argument
like
with them.
change, the way the English system works there. And they would laugh. They thought it was a joke, but I really wasn't joking. So,
Yeah, because I remember in Nigeria, there's like English, there's oral English. That's
mhm.
like a subject on its own. Then
Yes.
there's English comprehension.
Right.
That
Yes.
one is where you like read and then you answer. Then there's also another one. There's oral English, English comprehension. Then there's also like the essay, English essay or something like that, whereby you have to write a letter. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so you need to know how to write a letter. They say like write a letter to your uncle in the village. So
Mm-hmm.
those are like three different English. Then there's also obviously the one whereby you have to learn vocabulary.
Yes.
Yes.
You have dictionaries. I mean, remember coming here, I had a dictionary with me, like,
Oh,
you know,
I used
Right.
dictionary for years. Now,
yeah,
even now I still do. The only
yeah.
thing is I just use it online, not the book anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the difference. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
'cause we were taught in Nigeria that everything you do English wise has to be perfect, you know, and you have to understand almost every word in a dictionary. You have to know what every word means, and you have to know how to use that word. But it wasn't that
Mm-hmm.
way in America. So blending in that way was a little bit hard. But then again, I found some professors that understood, the fact that I grew up with Queen's English, and
Mm-hmm.
they understood that and they loved it, they appreciated it. And then you also have those that was like, oh my goodness, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That's just wrong English. So again,
Yeah.
it was.
Bu- But on top of that, though, on top of all of that, if you notice, like I did anyway, a
Mhm.
lot of schools still didn't consider Nigeria as an English speaking
country.
for some odd reasons,
Yeah.
but they prefer Ghana. I'm like, how's Ghana?
Yeah, because
You know?
because when you look at Nigeria, we are multicultural, multi-languages, multi-bilingual, everything in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So there's no way or no other way to unify us without that English. So that's the common
Yeah.
ground. And to me, I like speaking English is great, but I love our own pidgin English because that's our English. You know, that's our English. We made that. We created that so we can communicate with one another, and it's been good to us so far. We're using it in our music, and it's popular everywhere. Before you know it, you're all going to start speaking Nigerian pidgin English. You know,
Yeah,
Nigerian slang.
and also about the English language, like with Nigeria, you have a Hausa man that can speak English. You have an Ijebu man that can speak English, and you have a Calabar man that can speak English.
Right.
So if you take that outside Ijebu Calabar, like you can't understand the three of them unless you listen. So I think it kind of makes sense. They are like, well, your English is not uniform. You know, there's multiple.
I mean, it's because of the dialect that we grew up with.
Yeah, because
the dialect,
every dialect in Nigeria, when they speak their English, they put their dialect into it. They throw the common dialect inside of your English. That becomes what the slangs are. So
Yeah, but also English is not our first language, so that's something there too. So like, because I mean, you can even tell like when somebody from Wales is talking to you, someone from England, someone from Ireland is talking to Scotland, their English are not the same.
Yes.
If you pay attention, there is a slight difference between all of them. So that's kind of how it is with Nigeria. And I feel like Americans kind of just need to suck it up and listen, because once you listen, you can understand.
Right.
I mean,
apologies to American audience.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's kind of like what it is. I mean, we're not that hard to listen to. I mean, to like understand if you actually listen. The point is listening.
They choose not to listen.
I can understand anybody from any part of the world. They speak in English to me because I listen to them.
And the funny thing about that too, again, since you brought that, some Americans choose not to learn how to pronounce our names, but they can pronounce some scary names, and you'd be like, "What?" You're like, you know.
So you're talking about like the Russian name
like
and
all these Russian names and all this kind of names, but they find it hard to just pronounce
African names.
Yeah, because they like in school, like using your nouns and pronunciation and stuff is not emphasized. For us, we have to be perfect. I mean, I remember my teacher having a cane right next to us. You didn't say that right, and you get whipped until it's correct and perfect. So here, I don't really see that.
Stojastojakovic, they can pronounce that name. That name doesn't look easy to pronounce. Then Adeyemi, Aderumi, you know, Benga,
Motola.
you know, we got some easy names, and they look at it like, okay, you can't say that word. Even though I say it because she chose not, you don't want to learn, but you can learn every other thing.
I mean, like recently we had somebody that was working at my job that came from Phoenix, was working, you know, his name is Tayo. You know, everybody call him Tayo.
Oh, Tayo.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was like, no, it's not Tayo, it's Tayo.
Yeah, I know, but I got to make sure to learn it. I will teach you how to pronounce my name. I will teach you. You're not going to say my name wrong. I will definitely teach you how to pronounce my name and how to say it clearly.
Yeah, I feel like the issue, though, is the vocabulary of the Americans is very poor. I'm sorry, guys. Poor in the sense, I mean, poor in a nice way, in the sense that I don't know how poor can be a nice way.
You know,
they
have the British English.
I'm going to have to cut this out.
So they have American English also.
I mean, how about this? I mean, I'm not going to say it's technically poor because I've met a lot of people, like Americans that will pronounce anything. It's all about you trying, you know, put in an effort to make it right.
Right.
If you try to make something perfect, you will be perfect at this. I mean,
get close.
Yeah. I mean, we were just told no matter what, we have to do it. There is no ifs and buts about it. It has to be done.
Yeah. So when I say poor, what I mean, you know, just to wrap that up, is that in Nigeria we have these words you have to know to take like a JAMB or WAEC or GCE. So we have a very deep vocabulary. So we know a lot of words. And so, like the example I gave when I said the phone is engaged, you know, and the woman is like, oh, busy. You know, in Nigeria, because we speak Queen's English, we have a big depth of vocabulary. And some words, the way we use them,
Mm-hmm.
Americans are not used to
Yeah,
words
yeah.
that way, and their English is just like really easy,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
it's simplified, and there's nothing
it's
wrong with that.
simplified, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's there's nothing wrong with that. It's simplified, yeah. But then we Africans we actually speak more English in
Mm-hmm.
terms of I would argue speak more English than them because English is our first language in Nigeria for the most part. Although not our native language, but still our first language.
Yeah.
But yeah. So regarding languages and how someone navigates, I'm wondering what you guys have done to be able to cope with the American English.
Well, like I had to learn to like change a couple of things, and probably why moving like going on. I mean, like along the years, I lost my accent a little bit. It's still there, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
up pronounced. I mean, because of what I do. I mean, I work with people.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
population is very different. It can range from children all the way to adults. So to a
Mm-hmm.
certain point, I had to like kind of adapt and adopt certain things that they do without completely losing myself.
Losing
To a point.
identity.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, when I'm talking to certain people, I can simplify it, English as easy as I can. Even at my job, part of what I do, we use big
Mm-hmm.
words. But when
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to people, I have to make sure that it's something that even somebody that didn't go to school can understand. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
my schooling and based on the job that I do, it kind of helped me be able to like a lot like better understand the culture and the language here, and also know how to simplify. So I can switch. I'm pretty easy. I can go to Nigerian mode. I can go to American mode. Once in a while, I define myself in a British mode when I'm like super excited or like super annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So I know of a friend who was taking a class. It's kind of like an ESL class,
Hmm.
English as a second language class. I mean, this guy has a PhD, like he's super educated. I don't know
Hmm.
why, but I think his job was public facing. So he's one of like a C-suits,
Well,
CEO, CFO.
see, that's
So
one
because of that, they
class.
made him take that class.
Yeah, that's one class that I never took. Like,
Oh, you never took ESL?
no, I never. I mean, I was when I came to America, I was
Mm-hmm.
lucky. I did not even take basic English. The
Wow.
English that I had to take was communication skills, and that was only because they just
Mm.
wanted me to start there. I
Mm-hmm.
tested into rhetoric.
Oh,
Yeah. So
right.
so I talked. I mean, whenever I'm talking to those people and stuff, I think it's more of the clarity. I think it's not because of how smart we were as Nigerians. It's
It's
about,
just a lack of understanding.
yeah, it's about clarity. If they feel like they can understand you, you're clear and precise, and they can understand a little bit of what you say, you don't have to take that. All of those beginning classes that they make us take, I
Mm-hmm.
never took any one of those.
Wow.
Even
Well, me,
even
I
though
took English 101 again. Some of us are not that smart. Even though I was in college in Nigeria, I was in college in Nigeria already. I was,
Mhm.
like going through my second, third year in Nigeria. When I came
Yeah.
here, they made me take like English 101 all over again.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, they just told me just go ahead. So I went straight to 121. I did rhetoric. I did rhetoric one, rhetoric two. Those are the only
Hmm.
English I've ever taken in
Oh,
my
wow.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. Like I mean, I know Chopin and myself. We are like, he's from Ajegunle, and me, I'm from like Yaba area. So we grew up in the, like in the slum, I guess. So our English was all like very, very Nigerian
Hey,
conkness. So some of that
listen.
is also perception when
Yeah, I
they
mean, I
perceive that
dabbled
they can
too.
understand.
I mean, I
Yeah.
dabbled between everywhere. Like I mean, Ajegulia. I mean, I grew up
Mm-hmm.
in Olodia, Papa.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Oh,
like
Lodia Papa.
British.
Okay. Oh,
Exactly. I'm
Yeah,
Lodia
from my
Papa. Okay,
juggler.
okay, 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 okay,
yeah,
okay.
but at the
Wow.
time while I was there, there was a distinction. So we were a
Mm.
little more higher class than it is
Mm-hmm.
like regular, but now it's blended now,
Yeah.
from what I
Mm-hmm.
heard. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, I had to learn. I mean, I had to earn my stripes too. I mean, we weren't
Mm-hmm.
rich growing up, so but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
lucky the schools that I went to. I mean, I went to school in Tolu, Tolu Village. If anybody remembers that,
Mm-hmm.
you
Tolu
know,
Village.
yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, I
Hmm.
I went to Oshodi High School. That was
Oh
back
wow, you
then.
went to Ushudi High School? Oh my
Yes.
God! Wow. Okay. 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 I
Yeah,
know Ushudi High School.
I went to
Okay.
Kajula Primary School. I went to Ocean
Okay.
High School.
Uh
So
huh.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
Wow.
that's why I mean my alma mater and stuff.
I know. Look at you. You made it alive though, because those schools I hear they be
Oh,
fighting all the times,
oh my God! It was
breaking bottles and whatnot.
yes, in my time when I was going to school. In my time, Tolu school was horrible. Like you were
Right.
lucky. I don't know how I survived. I guess I was so tiny. and nobody paid attention.
Nobody paid attention to you, right?
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, God,
Yeah, but
someday.
your English is good, I mean, no matter how awful the school is in Nigeria, a lot of times, at least we have that English down, you know?
Right.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that part of it. My professor in um like junior, I mean, what was it called, secondary school. He was like I mean, he went to like top notch school, and he made us.
Mm, mm.
He
And
was
this was
very
back then
that.
when the British were, kind of in charge of Nigerian education system again for your professors, the older generations. I'm talking about 60s, 70s. Those guys
Mm-hmm.
actually spoke really, really good English. If you look at YouTube and you hear some of these speeches by Awolowo, Nnamdi
Mm-hmm.
Azikiwe, Tafawa Bello, all these guys, I mean, English is on point.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
is.
like
Yeah.
the Nigerian English is kind of a little bit getting watered down,
Well, yeah, I mean, people don't pay attention to it like they used to, See,
Mm-hmm.
so this is funny. Yesterday, I went to Best Buy to get a laptop, and I
Mm-hmm.
just stood there talking to a person helping me. And then some guy, I don't know if that's his wife or sister, they walked up to me. They're like, "Oh, hi." I mean, and the lady was like, "Oh, you have a nice voice." And then he was like, "You have a little bit of an accent. Where are you from?" Nobody could get where I'm from. They're like,
Right.
"No, no." They're like, "No, you're not African. You're not Nigerian." I was like, "I am." Just because I don't have the thick accent doesn't mean I
Uh-huh.
am not a Nigerian.
No, me, they'd be like, oh, sometimes when I post guy here, oh, you're from Jamaica, you're from Barbados, like, you know, they can't play some of that accent. It's kind of, but now I think a lot of people can,
Can now.
like, oh, you're from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think Nigeria is getting a little bit, I mean, a lot more popular.
Yeah, popularity
Hopefully
in Nigeria,
in the
especially
good
around
way,
music.
not in the bad way.
That is
So,
good.
Of course.
Because in the 80s, it's like we got a little bad popularity thing going on then in the 80s when that the drugs stopped playing when in the 80s. But I think Nigeria has cleaned that up completely, and we are in good faith around the world.
well, we're
And we are,
trying
yeah,
to.
we are
I mean, that
trying.
much I would
We're,
say.
we're
They're still the
trying.
bad ones.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Every country have them.
That's all we have the time for today, unfortunately, guys. Please stay tuned for part 2 of Nigerians Only Speak Queen's English. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the love and support. Please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Please do not forget to like, comment, and also leave us a note on our social media platforms. We'll continue the conversation next week. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all the support. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks. Bye.